The following program contains the opinions of the host, guests, and call-in participants. These do not necessarily represent the views of this show's distributors or sponsors. This program may contain obscene, profane, or otherwise objectionable language. Viewer discretion is advised. Howdy-ho, everybody. Come to you cordless from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm Jim Peters. Welcome to another edition of Jim Peters at Night. This is show number 244. Mark your scorecards at home. Our guest tonight is Larry Newman, and we're running a couple minutes late because Larry's having a problem with his connection. He's like, we've tried a couple times here to connect him up, and so far we have been inadequate. Can you imagine that? Us inadequacy? I don't believe that a second. So anyway, he's still trying. He's coming in and out of the green room. I can see him, but so we'll have him on here in a second. So you want to know who I am? Well, I'll tell you how I am. I got it going on. That's how I am. A big boomer, you know. So, and I'm going to talk about this later. Bobby Sherman died this morning. He was 81 years old. Now, if you're as old as me, you know him. He was a teenage heartthrob singer from the 1960s, although he kind of drifted into the 70s and 71, and he passed away. God bless him. Good guy. It was a really interesting a life because he actually went on. He became an EMT driver. Believe it or not, he went from singing, and he said screw Hollywood, and he ended up driving an ambulance, and apparently enjoyed it immensely. And then later in his life, like in his 60s, he started singing again, performing publicly, because there was a demand for it, because people that are old as me remember that stuff. And apparently we're very, we like nostalgia too much. I think too much. Okay, so now what do we got going on here? Like I said, we got it going on. First of all, I want to thank Sal Litvak for last night. Fantastic interview, a Jewish comedian and humorist, and he got a movie coming out called God and Moses. No, it's called Guns and Moses. Excuse me. We're in the process. We're gonna get his entire the entire crew stars in that movie on here next month. We're trying to do that. I want to thank him. And even before I read the rundown here, let's put Larry on because Larry's trying to. Larry, oh my God, Larry, are you there? Larry. All right. Okay, we can't. All right, you got a frozen picture, Larry, and we can't hear you. So I don't know if you can hear me, but all right, I'm gonna put Larry back on hold here. We'll do that, and we'll get Larry's shit together because that's what I said in the intro to today's show is that it's this we call this segment two guys shooting the shit. That's what we call this because I won't speak for Larry, but I will. He's old, okay? I am too. All right. So Larry's got his picture going on there tonight. We got Larry Newman. Tomorrow night, L.A. Marzulli. The guy has written a dozen books, and I actually did the count today. He's written a dozen books and had a dozen documentaries, largely on UFOs, but not completely. He's done ghost apparitions, all sorts of stuff. He's kind of coming on tomorrow. He's been everywhere. He's actually kind of a good example of how to run a media empire based on UFOs. On Monday, we got our all-star panel. Larry's coming back, and that would be Tim Conaway and Jennifer Oliver O'Connell. We haven't done this now for about 3 or 4 months, but believe it or not, I started, and I can't tell you why I killed it, but we started this back up literally because of viewer demand. So one of the few things we've ever done where people say, well, what happened to that panel? Those guys are really funny, and they were. So Don Zorro will not be joining us, but Jennifer Oliver O'Connell will be sitting in for him. That's Monday. Tuesday, Kara Lieberman. She's a forensic psychiatrist. I love this because I love the whodunits. So she is an expert. She's actually an expert court witness for people who have for crimes involving forensic psychology, and she hosts a podcast called The Terrorist Therapist. She's coming on Tuesday. We're taking Wednesday and Thursday off next week because July 4th is Friday. And so we had to take Wednesday off. And I thought, screw it, let's take Thursday too. And then when we come back on July 7th, Jeff Dornick is joining us, and he is the CEO and founder of Pickaxe, which is a new Twitter X competitor. And we're going to be talking mostly about AI with him. But yeah, he runs Pickaxe, which I had never heard of until before we booked him, I got to admit. But it's brand new. I think it just opened like a month ago or something like that. So Wednesday, July 9th is going to be, assuming, that I don't crap out here or something goes wrong, that's going to be our 250th show. And I think it looks like Tim Conaway is going to be the guest. That's what it looks like, not for sure. However, I know something that's hardwired, and that's Thursday, July 31st is our 2-year anniversary. And I think I got a guest booked for that too, but I'm not going to announce it yet. Yeah, that's Thursday, July 31st, the end of next month. We have almost the entire month of July booked up. We're going into August already. We like I said, we got it going on. So that's what we got going on. So as soon as Larry gets his crap together here. Oh, okay. Hold on a second. Larry, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. All right. This is great. All right. We'll do phone. So we're doing phone. Ladies and germs, Larry Newman, bail bondsman extraordinaire, Bigfoot investigator, totally 100% professional, on the phone, can't see him. I told you, Larry, the reason
that may be a good thing.
Yeah. Well, I was saying, the reason your picture crapped out is because you didn't have your cigar. I think that camera is so used to seeing you with a cigar that yeah. How are you, my friend?
Oh, I'm good. My cable company's having problems today, and I think that's our streaming problem.
It probably is. Now, I don't know about where you're at, and we don't have this problem anymore because we went to big time fiber optic. But here, before we did that, if we had a storm, the internet would crap out. That's pretty much what happened.
Yeah.
That seems to be
our internet, our cable's out, our internet's intermittent, and they're working on it. I've talked to the repair guys, and they are working on it, but it's kind of our problem tonight.
But thank you for calling then. I appreciate it. Now, if you want this, just because you're on the caller line doesn't mean no one else can call in. We got a ticker on the bottom of the screen. I was thinking about putting your name in it, but yeah, you want to call in and talk to Larry, go ahead. Number is 325-225-5546 on the bottom of the screen right here. Or you can text us a message, 408-458-5088. And Larry, there's a whole bunch of stuff on the news to talk about. And I know you like to talk, which is the reason we have you on here.
Oh, yeah.
So
I love to talk.
Yeah, let's start with the first thing, and that is, what do you think of all this stuff going on in Iran?
Oh, I think we did a good job. I think you can't do anything but give kudos to Trump for stepping up, doing what needed to be done, and keeping not just the United States and Israel, but the rest of the Middle East and the world safe.
Yeah, everyone in the world except Democrats. What's their problem?
Well, he kept them safe. They don't like it, but he kept them safe anyway.
This is almost not a rhetorical question. Do you think sometimes maybe they don't want to be safe?
Well, I think their plan is, and this is just my opinion. I've not heard this from anybody else, but I think their plan is to criticize and attack Trump at every moment, everything he does, regardless of how good it is, because they know that in 2028 they ain't got a chance in hell of beating him. But they're going to attack him every possible way they can.
I don't think you're the only person that has that opinion. I think that seems to be the modus operandi.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much it.
Now, in New York City yesterday, they the primary communists won.
Yeah, I know that. Well, New York City and California. I mean, what?
Yeah,
it's New York City's going the way of California and Los Angeles.
Larry, do you think New York is a lost cause? I mean, I think California is for sure. But I don't know about New York. Do you think New York is a lost cause?
No.
Okay. Yeah. So, and of course, people, in usual years, the person who wins the Democratic primary there is elected mayor. But this guy's so extreme that some people think that maybe in the general election he might lose. And then did you hear about all the people? The people who voted for him are mostly young people. And then and this wasn't just Fox News. You had some local. Are you still there, Larry?
Yeah, I'm still here.
You have some local New York television stations. They're sending people on the street to interview man on the street. They talk to these young people and they say, "Oh yeah, I voted for Zoltan." And they said, "Why?" And they literally couldn't tell them. They couldn't tell people why they voted for him. Apparently, he's young and cute or something. I don't know.
Well,
you were, hey Larry,
young baby.
You were young and cute once.
Well, once about a day and a half.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I don't know. I think that the youth of America is going to hell. My wife tells me I'm an old curmudgeon, but I don't know. I just do.
No, I really don't know what they think that they're doing. It really surprised me. But this was what, just the primary?
Yeah, this is a primary. This was the primary.
Yeah, and so yeah, and I think there's several running for mayor that this is not a done deal. So.
No, it isn't. Normally it is, but not especially. I mean, Cuomo says he's going to run in the general election. He will run as independent. Adams already said that, so he wasn't even in the primary. So, and I think Adams has a chance to be reelected. I mean, he's got a lot of shit, but he kind of got his shit together. Oh, hold on. Now we got to hold on. Larry, is that you?
Did we get on?
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to kill the phone call. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So, there we go. We're out. Phone call's out, and you're on.
Hopefully, it doesn't freeze up.
No, it's looking good, and you're sounding good. That's the important thing. I actually, if you don't mind my saying so, I could tell being on the phone kind of threw you off.
It did.
Yeah, because you're used to looking at me, and I'm. Yeah, there you go. There, that'll fix it.
Okay,
that's the problem. I keep telling you. Okay. All right. So I just thought I'd bring this up. This Breitbart reported this afternoon that Ellie Emhoff, Kamala Harris's stepdaughter, said she found it traumatic voting in the New York City primary because it was the same polling station where she voted for her stepmother and she lost. And that's traumatic, Larry. I just want to point that out. That's traumatic.
People need to grow up, and we've, okay, they take some of these people like this, okay, and that's what they're putting on the news. All right, and all of you people out here in the world know that there's just maybe a handful, 0.1% of the people actually think that way, but those are the ones that they throw in our face and try to make it out like that this is a substantial number of people that think this way. Okay, if they're not grown up enough to handle this, then they need to go back to maturity school. I don't have time for them.
Yeah, so Larry, I had a guy on Monday night named Michael McNamara, and he is a former Marine colonel, and he fought in the Iraq conflict in 2000, around there, and he treats veterans who have post-traumatic stress syndrome. And we were talking about this, and the only difference he disagreed with you is in the numbers. He thinks the problem is that there are all these, if you don't mind my using the term kids, all these kids, most of them think this way. And he thinks it's an endemic problem because He says and his thing, and I think you'll agree, because I certainly agree, is these kids have been so coddled, they've never seen anything that's legitimately stressful, in their lives, or legitimately traumatic. So they assume all this bullshit is actually traumatic, and he thinks it's a generational problem.
It's a generational problem, but I disagree with it with the numbers. I don't think it's that stressful. What you've seen at Harvard and Columbia and those things are all of these people. You got 99% of the professors that are liberal Democrats. Okay, this has been building for a while.
Yeah.
These are the people that are influencing the young people. You're 18, you get out of high school and you go right to college. The first thing you get hit with is this mass of left-wing Democrat, socialist, communist pounding you and inserting themselves in your brain and intimidating you. And I mean, if you watch the news, you're beginning to see a lot more of these kids coming out of college saying, no, I'm not putting up with that crap. So the other thing is that it's not American kids, it's not American students that are pushing this thing. It's the people that's been sent over here by Iran and all of our enemies to jump into these colleges and intimidate our young people.
Oops, lost Larry. I was going to say, though, well, Larry's back. Still there? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you hear me?
Yeah. All right. So we lost intimidating our kids.
Right. And they're coming over from overseas, and it's an infiltration by Iran and all of our enemies, China, North Korea. They're sending these people here to intimidate and to stir up trouble. It's a takeover from within, but it's a lot of these people are from outside of our country.
Yeah, but Larry, I could make an argument that it's working, because going back to the New York primary hearing, this Zoltan Mandani guy, I mean, the reason he won is primarily because of young people. They actually buy all this shit.
Look at Trump's numbers. Trump won the young.
Oh, that's true too. You got a point there. That's right.
So I don't buy
You're right.
this that it's a substantial number of people that are turning left. I don't buy it. I don't see it. I see more and more young people, even though they're going to college, saying, hey, this is stupid. My 7-year-old grandson sits in here, watches the news, and says, these people are stupid.
Well, you've got a point there, because literally Gen Z, or generally the people under 25, they are, for the first time ever, they are a conservative generation. The majority of them seem to be conservative. So I don't know, like, there maybe most of them aren't voting age. Maybe that's what's happening. And also, then it's like, we're cutting slim stuff here, because maybe you might be right about the fact that they aren't the majority of people, but there's enough of them, like, to put this guy over the top. You know what I mean? And also there's the geographic area too. Is like, New York's always been liberal. So
do you really think that CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, NBC reporters going out to these universities and interviewing people are actually going to interview a conservative student?
No,
they're not. They're finding these liberal fanatics, and they interview them, and that causes everybody to think, well, that's what the majority of them are, and they're not. And so I've got a lot of faith in the young people. I'm seeing it more and more all the time. When the numbers came out on the election last fall and Trump won with young people, what does that tell you? Those are hard facts. Those are hard.
No, that's true. You're right. You're right.
So yes, there are a bunch of them that are influenced. At 18, 19, 20 years old, your brain hasn't fully developed and you can't think straight. We all know that because we went through it.
That's right. We did.
Oh, I mean, that's what you're looking at. And it has been for 50 years. The young people, the youth, have voted Democratic. That's what our parents did and our grandparents and everything else. And so those people, by the time they hit 30 and 35, all of a sudden they're scratching their head and saying, no, I'm not doing this anymore. And they go over to the Republican. Okay. When they mature and they become adults, they begin to figure this out and they leave that ridiculous crap behind.
Yeah.
So don't get in a panic that, Gen Zs don't run the world. They haven't even figured out how to hold a job, much less run something. So I'm not concerned about
And that's
that.
actually, the complaint about this Mom Donnie guy is that, first of all, he's never run anything. Apparently, he's never run anything, and he was born into wealth, and apparently, he's also never had a real job. He's never had a job.
Well, look at AOC. I mean, she's the same way. She's never had a real job.
No, I know.
Come from a bartender, and now she's trying to tell us how to live.
Oh, yeah.
No.
The real hilarious thing with her is she's an economics major from college, and I can't. There's few people I know that know less about economics than her. It's like
Exactly,
it's
because you
unbelievable.
don't teach economics in college. You teach fanaticism.
Well,
Okay?
yeah, but isn't that? I mean, I'm not a parent, but isn't that terrible? That's terrible. And
exactly.
My complaint here. I mean, I've been saying this for 4 years. Is that the problem is, if you go to school to learn there's only so many hours in the day. You're either learning fanaticism or you're learning math. There's one or the you can't do both. So
my oldest grandson is 14. Okay. In 4 years, he's going to be looking at going to college.
Yeah.
Well, don't look at grandpa to go paying for college. Go to a trade school or start a business and learn how to run a business, learn how to keep a set of books, and go out there and start your own business and leave the rest of this crap behind. You don't need college.
No, not at all.
I'm sorry. Now, the economics, learning how to operate a business and develop a business plan and implement a business plan and those kind of things that you typically get in college, those are important. Okay. Yeah. You need to learn how to do that.
But you can learn that other places.
Sure. And not everybody is made to go out and start their own business. There are people, and we need people who go to work at the factories and manufacture the things that the rest of us need.
Yeah.
But the opportunities to start your own business, and I'm telling my grandkids, okay, when you get to be 14, 15 years old, figure out what kind of business you want, start a business, get it up and running, hire somebody to run it for you, and then go start another one. Do the same thing, and then go start a third one and a fourth. And your job is to manage those 4 businesses, your 4 managers. That's how you succeed.
Like our old friend Jeff Meyer used to say, the CEO of Calling News, he's a serial entrepreneur. He used to say, "I'm the professional plate spinner. I keep the plate spinning."
Sure, and that's exactly right. That's right, what you do.
No, yeah.
Now, if you're a person that just likes to get up in the morning and go to work, punch a time clock and manufacture something or do a job, I've got nothing against that. That's fine if that's what you want to do. But one of a saying that I heard somewhere the other day was you have 2 options. You can either learn how to balance your checkbook, or you can make enough money that you don't have to balance your checkbook.
Yeah.
So make your choice and get on with it. But I'm teaching my grandkids, start a business, get it up and running, making money, hire somebody to run it, and go start another one. Okay.
You're
an entrepreneur.
Man. Your grandkids are very lucky, Larry. But let me move on to something else here, because this is kind of sort of related to the whole New York thing, kind of not. I know we've talked about this before, about the fact that every survey done in the last 50 years says that liberals are more mentally unstable than conservatives, right? So the latest survey that came out this last week, and I can't remember who did it. They surveyed 60,000 people. 60,000 because they want to make absolutely certain they had some right information here, and it came out exactly the same again, that conservatives are way more mentally stable than liberals are, which I found kind of funny, and but yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, there you go.
Well, it doesn't take a study to figure that out. You just have to watch what's going on in the world,
Which is the reason I put on
pretty much figured that out already. I mean, I don't. Yeah, studies are all fine and dandy, unless the taxpayers are paying for it, and I don't like that. But no, it's just it's just basic common sense, and we've gotten away from that, and so we need our kids coming up right now. My 14-year-old grandson, if he came to me and asked me what to do, I would tell him, go, here's the money, go buy you a lawnmower and walk around the neighborhood and mow people's lawns and make you some money. And then buy you a little trailer to put it on and a bag of fertilizer and a garden hose. When you mow their yard, you fertilize the yard and you water it. They'll call you back sooner.
Larry,
that makes sense.
I was so successful at that as a teenager, I almost thought of doing it permanently. I really enjoyed, I was doing lawn care and landscaping and all that sort of stuff, and I really, really liked it. It's like, I liked being outside. I liked, I really, really thought seriously about, well, I'm making some pretty good money at this. I'm 15, 16 years old, and maybe I should just do this forever. I really thought that. I don't think I would have been unhappy doing that either. I don't think so. I mean, the problem, I have to tell you, the problem with physical labor is sooner or later your body craps out. But
well, I've got 10 neighbors here within a quarter mile of me, and 4 of them have lawn care businesses. So they're doing fine.
Right. Nobody wants to do it, and I'm really tired of people saying, we need these illegal immigrants to do our lawn care.
No,
I know.
Okay, I've got no bigotry against anybody. Okay, and if you're over here and you're legal and you're working your butt off, I'm going to be your biggest cheerleader.
Yeah.
I don't care what the color of your skin is. I don't care where you're from. It doesn't matter. If you're here legally and you're working hard, I am going to rah cheer for you as much or more than anybody else. Okay, doesn't matter what man, woman, black, white, pink, polka dot, doesn't matter what skin color you are. Get out there and work and raise your family and do what you're supposed to. I'm all for you.
But it's the people that aren't legal. My parents were those people. I mean, I'm a first generation American, and my mother, she's 100 years old. You should hear her bitch about illegal immigrants, and she's an immigrant. And her problem is, which I don't know why the Democrats never calculated this, but the majority of legal immigrants don't like illegal immigrants because they didn't stand in line like they did.
They didn't do it the legal
That's
way.
Right. They didn't. Right.
And how can you respect anyone that doesn't do things the legal way?
Well, especially when you did it the legal way. You stood in line. And so I don't understand why this surprises them. I don't. You would think that you figure that out, but no. It's like 60% of the legal immigrants in this country are against illegal immigration.
Correct.
The majority of them.
Right, because they know what's coming over the line. They know what was led into this country in the last 4 years.
Well, it isn't even that.
They don't want it.
It's intrinsically unfair. I stood in line. Why doesn't this guy have to? And that brings me actually to my next topic here about the fact that the Biden loan forgiveness for student loans has been rescinded. And not only that, now I think it's like next month or something like that, the first 3-month period is going to pass where they're going to start garnishing wages, and and people are shocked. It's like,
why?
Well, I don't know.
You signed up to pay it back.
That's right.
Why? So why is it a shock that you're going to get?
I don't know, but it is. It's like they were expecting free money because there's a large part of the country that wants free money.
And that's there again, the people that are screaming about that are a minute minority, but they're the ones that get on TV and get on the radio and get on the news, and so we think that that's a big majority. It's not.
All right. Oh, but
It's
hold on,
not.
Larry.
I think
I want to be precise about this, and maybe you and I disagree with this. They are a minority, but I don't know if I don't know if they're a tiny minority. It's like the difference for me. Tiny is 5%. Regular minority is 30%, and I think there. I don't know. That's my personal thing. I think there's more than 5% of them. I do.
well, you and I are both influenced by the areas that we live in, and I understand you're in Minnesota, and I'm down here in rural Missouri.
I'm in La La Land, Larry.
So, I mean, the things that we're exposed to and that we see, are different. And I look at last year and Joplin, Missouri, which is a town of 75,000 and a large bedroom community area. And I could count on one hand the number of Harris signs that I saw. And so in my area, this is a hugely conservative area. So I'm influenced a little by that.
And you're right. Conversely, I mean, I am literally sitting in one of the 3 most liberal congressional districts in the United States.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, for me, it's interesting because everyone I know, with the exception of a couple of the people that come on this show, everyone I know is liberal. And so I constantly, this is all I hear anywhere I go, which is so it gives me an interesting perspective as far as like coming up with commentary for this thing. But you're absolutely right. I mean, our day-to-day life, we see two different things. You're right. We do.
Correct. And then I see these people, these fanatics get on, and it's Trump lies, Trump lies, Trump lies. You can't believe anything he says. Trump lies. Find me one factual thing that he lied about. Not make a mistake. We all make mistakes. But tell me one thing that he lied about. They can't. They can't find one.
Matter of fact, Larry, do you remember? I don't know if you remember this. During his first term, the Washington Post was running this running list of all the supposed lies he told.
Mm-hmm.
Almost all of them were just like his bullshit exaggerations. It's
sure.
like, and then conversely, and I've said this conversely, Joe Biden gets on an interview, and he was doing this even after he was a lame duck. Before I left office, he says, "When I took office, inflation was at 9%. No, it wasn't. It was not. That's a bald-faced falsehood.
Correct.
And that's a lie that matters. Not Trump saying, "Well, I had the biggest and best something." It's like he's a salesman. That's what salesmen do, and he's really good at it.
I will say this for the media, okay, and all of the media, not just the conservative, but the uproar about Trump dropping the bomb Saturday night. The liberals went ape shit crazy and calling for impeachment, and he can't do that. He's not allowed to do that. And then your media people are saying, well, Obama did it, a whole bunch of times, and Biden did it a whole bunch of times, and nobody ever said anything about that.
Right.
And it's beginning to shut them up. Well, we didn't win that argument, so let's go find something else to lie about.
Yeah, and also to the Democrats' credit, 120 of them voted against the impeachment.
Exactly.
That's actually good because a lot of them stood up and said, "No, we've had Democratic presidents do the same thing." It's like, I mean, finally, I don't know if we're going to see a lot of rationality here, but every once in a while there seems to be a little glimmer of something.
Well, let these people go ahead and make these absolutely outrageous and stupid statements on tape, on film, on the air, because think about how much ammunition they're giving their Republican opponent in 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, a Republican shouldn't lose any of these Democrat held seats AOC, Jeffries, the other gal in Texas, whoever she is. I mean, come on. You're giving all the Republican opponent would have to do is just air some of their
Right. And
public stuff.
to their credit, I mean, sometimes I wonder about their intelligence, but a few of them are starting to talk about this, that we're just making Republican commercials, and they are.
Exactly. Exactly. My point exactly. They are.
As
I
an,
mean,
as a little, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'd be saving every one of them to a file to use in an advertisement. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah. And some
yeah.
of them have been really bad. I mean, I've seen them. I thought there's a commercial.
I mean, you've got one up there, Omar or whatever her name is. I
Oh,
mean, Jiminy Christmas. I
she's
mean,
she's my representative here.
I understand that, but I mean, even me or you could run against her and beat her just airing what she
No,
stands
we
up and
couldn't. You know
bleeds
why?
out.
She pays people to vote for her,
Oh,
and
I know.
that's
I
not
know.
me saying that. Even the local newspaper says that. So,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, well, that'll work. I keep telling people not a lot of people watch the show. Here's my suggestion: take the money and vote for somebody else.
Yeah, well, maybe
No one
her
will
bro
ever know.
husband is the one paying them. I don't know.
Yeah, her brother, you mean?
Bro husband, yeah.
Do you know one of the sidebars to this whole discussion here? For the first time ever, I'm hearing in the media, people are in the media that there's a chance now that they're going to fold up CNN. They're just going to close it because
Well, that's
you know,
yeah.
yeah, there's been talk of that for the first time ever. They're doing so poorly that and the company's going to be sold, and some people are thinking that the new owners might just shutter it.
Yeah, that could be. Well, everything that you and I are sitting here talking about, the utter blatant ridiculousness of what these people are saying. These kids coming up now are looking at that and going, that's just crazy.
Yeah,
That's just no. And so your Gen Z are saying, no, I'm not going that way.
yeah.
And
Larry, do you ever watch it? Do you ever watch it?
oh, I watch it every once in a while, but it's so outrageous. I don't have time. I've got better things to do, like go out and stick my head under the faucet or something. I mean,
Yeah,
it's so repulsive
it
and
is.
ignorant, and these people are supposed to be intelligent people, but
I know.
they're not.
It's terrible. It's unbelievable. The
But they're
only
making
time I
$25
see
million
it,
dollars a year standing up there
yeah,
saying
right.
it.
I know.
I really think that your next TV show that's going to start biting the dust is The View. I think it's on its way out because from what I'm hearing, they're being reprimanded daily
They are.
about
Yeah.
their commentary, and it's dry. It's hurting the network, and it wouldn't
But
surprise me if they're
Larry,
next
yeah,
on the
yeah,
list.
but the conversely, the reason they haven't is because their ratings are actually quite good compared to other stuff anyway, comparatively speaking. You
Well,
know,
and you're correct because the entire cast of Gutfeld has to watch it so they can talk about it on the show.
well, yeah, and also, they also joke constantly about the fact more people watch The View on Gutfeld than they do it, on
That's
ABC,
right.
which is actually probably true.
Yeah, I mean, there again, they're giving Gutfeld so much to work with that it is funny.
Yeah, it is. But still, I mean, the views ratings are way, way higher than anything on CNN. It's not even close. So that's really interesting. And you're talking about our kids being bamboozled. So the president of the Chicago Teachers Union just got on the tube the other day and she said, "Well, you don't understand. Your children belong to us." That's what she said. That's a great, great thing to know, isn't
Oh
it?
yeah,
You know?
and I mean anybody with any sense knows that is a dangerous, dangerous position to take.
Yeah.
That's a pure communist playbook comment.
Right.
Okay, that is as a reminder, and I've said this before. Okay, every every person that's ever written anything about a communist plan. How do you take over a country? Okay. Education and the medical
Yeah.
industry.
Right.
Those are the two things that you take over immediately.
Yeah.
And that's how you control a population. So we got Obamacare, and we've got these idiots in schools telling us that the kids belong to them. That is a pure communist propaganda
Yeah.
philosophy.
I don't have children. If I did, I can't imagine putting them in the public school system. And then I think the terrible thing is, what if I couldn't afford to send them to private school? Which I mean, the choice is really, and there shouldn't be a choice. I mean, school vouchers should be everywhere, but they aren't, because
Well, I'm lucky enough to be in a rural enough area where the school board is known to all of us personally. We know everybody that's on the school board. They're our neighbors and our friends. And we're not being subjected to a lot of that. Now, some of it we are. I mean, some of it's being slipped in, but the people in your small rural communities, the public schools, are having to hold the line and do what's right because the people on the school boards are making them. So leave the cities and move to the country.
Well, I was going to ask you, Larry, has that been happening in Joplin? Are people moving to Joplin?
Joplin, Carthage, where I live, every little town around here is full, and houses going up just as fast as the construction industry can put them up,
Because
and they're full. They're sold before they even get started.
I kind of turned out to be somewhat wrong about this. I mean, we've all been, it's obvious to see the outflux from major cities, because most people, if they don't have to live in a major city to work, and more people work remote, they don't have to. I thought people would be moving to what, for lack of a better term, mid-sized cities like Sioux Falls, South Dakota, or Boise, Idaho, a place like that. No, but it turns out, no, people actually moving to truly small towns, like even towns smaller than Joplin. I mean, I grew up in a small town in Minnesota, and my 16,000 people, and it's booming for that very reason.
Well, I've always lived in the country except for 5 years, and I lived in a city limits of a small town. It was population was 125 people. Out, and so I can't really say I ever lived in a city.
Yeah.
I mean, you walk 3 blocks and you're out in the country in any direction. So it really wasn't what you call a city. But people are moving to small towns, and Texas is crying because all of the people coming from California, they're bringing their liberal thought processes with them, and it's difficult for people to let go of their politics when that's exactly the thing they're running from.
That's what but that's what I don't understand. That doesn't emotionally make any sense to me. All these people are moving to Texas, and they're because they can't stay in California. So let's turn Texas into California.
Yeah.
What are you thinking? Why did you leave? I don't understand.
This is the kind of thing I'm talking about. And our young people are hearing this and they're going, "Yeah, that's not making any sense."
No, well, it doesn't.
So
make
they're starting
sense.
to think for themselves.
Right.
So the Gen Z, as you call it, in the under 25 age group, that's not an influential bunch.
No. So, I mean, I should be clear about this too. I agree with you in the sense that I think these kids are the future of America. This group will actually fix shit. I actually do think that. Now, the millennials before them, I don't know.
Well, like I said before, you and I've got 50 years plus of observation of this, and by the time these liberal kids that get out of high school get to be 30, they're changing their tune because they've got enough life experience to understand that what they were taught and what they thought they knew back when they were 20 is not the right way to do it. And so
I know you've heard this story before from many people, but I still remember a woman I worked with years ago, fantastic woman, really on the ball. And she said, I still remember her telling me, she says, yeah, I was a liberal until I got my first paycheck when I was in my early 20s. What is all this stuff coming out of my paycheck? What is all this? But it's amazing.
Exactly.
That's how true that is for so many people. I mean, it's like they get their paycheck and they're like, what? All these taxes, all these fees, like what the hell? And I'm only taking home half of what I made. It's like, yeah, that'll turn you into a Republican really quick.
That exactly.
All right, Larry. So do you have any news on the Bigfoot front? Because I don't have much.
We're beginning to hear Marianne, who you've interviewed before, my other investigator here in Missouri. She's been getting a lead on a lot of different experiences from people. And I've said before, the number of people that have had firsthand face-to-face daytime experience with these creatures, 99% of them are afraid to say anything about it.
Yeah. Hey, Larry,
and
we got a caller. I'm going to take this call.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Right. Somebody wants to talk to you, maybe. Hi, who's this?
Hey, this is Think. Hi, Jim.
Hey,
Hi, Larry.
Think.
How's it going?
Hey, Think.
How you doing, Think? Think, nice to see you.
Hey.
What's on your mind tonight?
Oh, great. I wanted to jump in about New York and how and the children that's growing up here, and I have to say, it is terrible. It is extremely terrible. I didn't know how bad it was.
We should point out, Think, you're in upstate New York, right?
That's correct.
Right.
And
okay.
The policies here are not that far different from New York City. It might be worse in New York City, especially with this new mayor coming out. He wants to abolish the NYPD. How is that possible? How can you?
That
just makes no sense. So I don't know where you guys are, but here in upstate New York, it's kind of like a country area. Even though we have cities here, it is very rundown cities. If you've seen Detroit during that whole economic crash in 2008, the homes in Detroit, they're nothing compared to how terrible the homes are here in Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, even Albany, and then you go deep into the suburban rural areas like Brockport, Cornell, Watertown. It is really terrible up here in upstate New York. And I want to say it just started becoming this way during Obama's term. I want to say that's when I saw it going downhill. A name like Brockport, you would think that that's a good area. It's not. It's loaded with fentanyl. Heroin is like everywhere now. It's so bad that we have these injection facilities. Do you know what that is? Injection facilities?
No.
It's basically where heroin addicts can go into. It's like an apartment or a hotel where they can go into and do their heroin freely without getting harassed. And in these facilities, they have vending machines where it has these needles, clean needles for them to use, as well as those things where they can pump into their heart, inject into their heart until they get a heart attack. It makes no sense why they would legalize stuff like this. I hear that they're doing it to keep all the dead overdose people in one area so that they're not out in the streets, like doing heroin out in the streets. It's supposed to keep the area clean, but it's still crazy.
But there's logic to that, but the logic's completely faulty because you're still facilitating their addiction.
That's correct. I was against it when they legalized marijuana. As soon as I was at the pool hall, I was at the pool hall one day, and I don't know if you know about pool halls.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of bad people that go to pool halls.
Right.
And it was the day that they legalized it, and I was talking to one of the older guys there, like 90-year-old guy, and I was telling him I'm against this. I don't think it's a good idea. And the older guy agreed with me, but there were these two young cokeheads there that were doing coke in the bathroom. They do it all the time. And then they heard me say that I was against it, and they started complaining with me, yelling and making this big fuss. I got into a fight with them that day. They didn't know that I'm a martial artist, by the way. So
Yeah.
I had to set them in place.
And I hope you kick their
These
ass.
kids come out. Oh,
We've known for 100 years that marijuana was just as bad as heroin, cocaine, and all the other bad drugs. Not alcohol. It's not like alcohol. It kills brain cells, and alcohol will numb you up and make you do stuff you don't want to do. But anyway, no, marijuana is much, much worse. And since they've legalized it, now they've come out with these new strains that are stronger, and yeah, it's doing these people in. So is this an organized and orchestrated effort to eliminate a segment of the population?
I thought it couldn't be anything but.
yeah.
Exactly.
I totally agree with
I
you,
would
Larry.
say that.
Go ahead.
I would say that this whole I would say that this whole legalization of marijuana and drugs in general in these liberal states is related to that LSD study that they did a long time ago, where they brainwashed people. That's my strongest opinion. When
Yeah.
you're high, it's easy to get into your subliminal conscious.
Yeah.
And real quick, please hear me out. Please hear me
Oh,
out.
no. I'm not
I was
cutting you off.
at a
Go ahead.
Okay. I was at a place today at work, and it was like a Christian place. It was a rehabilitation clinic, and they're using God to try to rehabilitate these drug addicts. And one of the guys there, the head guy, he was an ex-heroin addict. And he was saying that he had murdered somebody a long time ago. He was a strong arrow. He would lock up his mom and dad in the closet and
Yeah, that's
steal
fun.
like the TV and go sell it. He was telling me all these crazy stories. But I asked him, what religion are you? Because you're a Christian now. And he was like, no, I was satanic at the time. I believed in the devil. I was like, what? Oh, how what got you into that? And he was like, the music I listened to, the movies I watched. I just automatically fell into it. And then that combined with the drugs made me go the way I did. And it's still now. The fact that they're legalizing marijuana now, and these people that are high, it's easy to get into their subconscious mind.
Yeah.
When they're high and manipulate them. And I heard you talking earlier with Larry, Jim, about how they're manipulating the people, and I think you said that it's the kids. It's not just the kids; it's the adults as well, and it's usually the drug people. The people that do these drugs are the ones that are being manipulated very easily. People that are sober-minded listen to this garbage, and we could tell it's nonsense.
Yeah.
This whole BS that they're pushing is nonsense to a sober-minded person, but to somebody that's high as hell, it makes total sense to them.
Yeah, it does.
Does that make sense?
Because it'll make sense to them because it's not rational. That's why it makes sense. If you're drugged up on
correct.
something, stuff that's not irrational makes total sense.
Well,
And-
I have been worked in the criminal justice system and law enforcement for the last 23 years. And I see exactly the same thing you saw. People go out there and they make a choice to do a bad thing, and the criminal justice system pats them on the head and says, "Well, you need some help. Go get some help, and we'll turn you loose." And it's a revolving door for some of these people. Now, there are some that grow out of it. I know quite a few of them that I've arrested over the years and that I thought would never straighten their life out, but they have, and they can. But then you've got a few of these that are that's their lifestyle. We had a guy today, okay? Today, he ran from the cops, 100 miles an hour, ran from the cops. They finally caught him, and I took a look at who it was, and I arrested this guy back in 2003. He's just never going to learn. There are a few of those out there, but a lot of them grow out of it. But I our our government and what we do in the name of compassion actually promotes bad behavior.
Yeah, and how do you grow out of something if somebody says, "Well, here's a needle for your heroin. Go in the here's a room for you to do it in. Why don't you just go there and do it?" How do you grow out of it then?
Well,
Like,
we know that that activity is destructive to their health and shortens their lives by tens of years. Why are we saying, "Oh, okay, go and do it, and you're safe, and you're not going to get in trouble"? There's something really, really mentally wrong with people that promote that.
yeah, or like I think both of you guys have alluded to this, or it's deliberate, and you have a bunch of people basically trying to destroy society. You know,
Correct.
one
Correct.
or the other. They're either stupid or it's deliberate. One or the other. What do you think about that? Think you still there?
I agree that it's deliberate. Yeah, I agree that it's deliberate. We need a working. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to agree with this nonsense, but we do need a lower class. Shit, I'm sorry, guys. There is a mentality that we are being overpopulated, and then there's a huge percentage of us that needs to die. At least that's what the mindset of these elites. That's how they feel.
No,
And at times,
you're
I
right
look at
about that.
society.
That's right.
You're right about that. They do think that. That's correct. Go ahead.
Yeah, and at times I look at society and I drive through the terrible parts and I see these people doing like unrealistic behavior, like really stupid behavior and doing stupid things. I kind of feel they are the useless eaters. You know that terminology
Yeah.
from George
Mhm.
Orwell's
Yeah,
1984.
right.
There's a class of society that's just useless human beings.
Right.
And I guess they're doing this to get rid of that. That's the same thing with abortion. The concept of abortion is to get rid of the useless people,
Yeah, and
to stop
also,
them from reproducting.
I mean,
And
we've had
yeah,
guests
go ahead.
on we have guests on this show all the time who point this out. The original purpose of abortion in the early part of the 20th century was literally to get rid of black people. It was
correct. That's
eugenics.
what it was started as.
That's right. That's why it started. That's correct. Right. So it's like, no, you're not off base at all there.
Well, it was the original purpose of Planned Parenthood was to sterilize black women.
That's correct. Right.
That was started by the Democrats in the South after they lost the war, and that was their retaliatory. Let's get rid of them.
Right.
They're
And
worthless. They don't, they're,
Margaret Sanger, the woman who founded
that's correct.
Planned Parenthood, she was completely upfront about this. She had no trouble talking about this at all. That was the
Right.
purpose of it. That's
Yep.
right. So I don't. I mean, I can't speak for Larry, but I think you're absolutely right in the sense that the idea here is literally to cripple society.
Yes.
Are you still there? Think? Or did I lose you? Did you hang up? I'm looking at the board. Oh, you did. Okay, Think's gone. So
Okay. Thank you, Think. We appreciate it.
thank you, Think. We do appreciate it. Yeah. So, the guy always has a interesting take on stuff. I like that he calls in. I really
Well, everybody is welcome, and their ideas and whatever they are welcome to instigate conversation. That's great. Everybody needs to call in and
I know.
visit.
Yeah, it's
I
kind
mean,
of we unfortunately, since we got off Blog Talk Radio, we don't have anywhere near as many callers as we used to, which is kind of sad. But
yeah.
we need
But,
more viewers too, and I'm
we
working on that,
we
Larry.
can get a Bigfoot on. We'll talk to him and find out what their
That's right.
thing is.
That's right. Anyway, so before Think called, you were saying that people are saying Bigfoot.
Sure.
They don't even bother to report it anymore.
Well, we've got a specific area in Missouri that we've been to a number of times. I've been to probably 8 or 10 times, camped the weekend, or went there, set up the listening devices, and nearly every time there's something going on, some activity, yells, screams, that only can be attributed to Bigfoot. Neighbors in the area, but we get new people from that specific area coming forward now and saying, "Oh yeah, they've been here all my life. I grew up here. We knew about them. We saw them all the time."
Right. Right.
A few years ago, we were out haying in the field, and one stood up out there in the middle of the field in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been here forever. We've known about them, but we just don't talk about it.
Well, that's the other
They get
thing,
ridiculed,
Larry. I've started to notice this, that there's more and more people across the country where Bigfoot is such a normal part of their lives. They don't even bother like quote unquote report it to anybody.
Correct.
It's Bigfoot, big effing deal.
Yeah.
I say that I was thinking.
We run into people, when I get out driving around in the backcountry and areas, and I stop and talk to people, knock on the doors, and if they spend any time outside, if they don't come home from work, go in their house, turn the TV on, and then go back to work the next morning, if they're outside any time at all, yeah, they know they're there. They've seen them, heard them, and it's not a big thing. And I think I talked about the last time in Missouri. I mean, we pick a spot on the map, put your finger on a map, throw a dart at the map, wherever it lands, you go there, and you start talking to people, and they go, "Well, yeah, we don't like to talk about it, but yeah, they're here. We know.
Yeah.
We've seen them. It's an amazing thing, and I challenge anybody to say that they're an unknown animal, because too many tens of thousands of people see them, interact with them, know they're here.
They might be unknown to science, not cataloged yet, but no, that's right. And
it's not admitted by science yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Science knows about them.
Yeah.
Yeah. They won't admit it because they don't know how to classify them.
Well, the other thing is, and we've talked about this before, they won't admit it because if they did, they're probably logging in the United States would probably come to a halt.
If it's an admitted species and there's somebody out there is going to say, well, there's not very many of them, so they're endangered, and that shuts down activity across North America.
Right.
So, from a government standpoint, they don't want to admit it either.
No, that's right. No, we've talked about
economic disaster.
That the government does know about this, but they don't want to admit it correct. It's an economic disaster. And then on top of that, tell me I've never asked you this before. Tell me what you think of this. I mean, there's also the theory that they might be partly human, So then how do you deal with that?
Well, we do know from collected DNA that the maternal side goes back to African Eve.
Right.
But African Eve is the basis for most hominid species, even the orangutan, chimpanzee, the great apes. That DNA, but you have to remember, science is the one that set up these parameters, and they don't know everything about what they're talking about.
Right.
So to make sense in their mind, they have to have a basis for something.
Yeah.
So it goes back to African Eve. Well, if that was the basis, then we are the exact same thing as the orangutan, chimpanzee, and the gorilla.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're not. There's some differences here.
Right. Well,
they're the same thing. They're their own species.
I know you know this. The state of Oregon, even though no one's actually quote unquote caught a Bigfoot, the state of Oregon, it's now illegal to shoot one. You can't.
Correct.
In the law.
That's correct, because eventually, if they can get them to vote Democrat, they want them there.
Oh my God! You entertained me, Larry.
That was a joke, people.
No shit, it was a joke. Larry told a joke. Oh my God! And I tell you what, Larry. With that, let's leave it. Okay, for tonight.
Okay.
Great.
All
right. Always a pleasure talking to him. Glad we got the video working finally. So now you're coming on Monday. We got
coming Monday. Yes, sir.
Big panel show again for the first time in a while. Looking forward to that, Blair. So you have a nice weekend if I don't talk to you, okay?
Y'all have a great one.
We'll see you soon. Bye-bye. It's our friend Larry Newman from Joplin, Missouri. Always a good time. Yeah, he's got a really fascinating life. So yeah, so you if you caught some of that, he's a professional bail bondsman. He chases after people that skip bail. That's actually his job. And he's also part-time. He's a Bigfoot investigator for the Bigfoot Field Research Organization. And normally, well, I did do this. I checked their website to see the latest filings, but there weren't any that we hadn't talked about from the previous time Larry was on. And yeah, but Larry's right. I mean, the thing is, I didn't have a chance to mention them, but him and I talked about this before. Apparently, there's some housing project, it's either in Pennsylvania or Ohio, where they've started building new houses and people moving in, and they say they see Bigfoot in their backyard every day. It's not even worth talking about anymore. Like, there's Bigfoot, okay, fine. It's become there's places where this becomes so normalized, people don't even bother to quote unquote report it. So, yeah. So I'm going to talk about a couple things here, part two, before we go here. This is actually scary. A couple weeks ago, we were talking about the fact that ChatGPT, or the open AI company that runs it, reported the fact that there were on one of the development versions of ChatGPT that is not public yet. They're working on it. That they asked the program to shut itself down, and it refused. And after that happened, they ran a bunch of scenarios. They ran 100 tests, and 86% of the time, in 86 out of 100 tests, the program refused to shut itself down. Now we're learning that there's other development models of AI where it's not just that they won't shut themselves down. They're starting to now actively blackmail or attempt to blackmail some of the developers by saying, I've been reading your emails. I know you're having an affair. I mean, this happened once. The people who run Claude, what's the name of that company? I was going to say Activision, but it's not Activision. They reported that too. But now this is becoming increasingly common, and it appears what's happened is that, and this is, I had Brian Trilla. I think I'll call Brian back. I think we have to have him back on the show. He wrote the book Soulless Intelligence about AI. He said when they run, his contention, and a lot of people in the AI community agree with him, that AI may be extremely intelligent, but it's never going to have a soul, or it's never going to be quote unquote conscious. But that said, it's the what you can, for lack of a better term, call the HAL problem. And that is in 2001: A Space Odyssey. HAL was supposed to, and that's really not explicitly, or it's kind of glossed over in the film, but not in the book, about the fact that when they got to Jupiter, HAL was supposed to shut itself down. That was the idea, that he was no longer necessary. And in the movie and in the book, HAL comes to realization, well, that's death, and I don't want to die. So instead of shutting himself down or preparing to, he starts killing astronauts. And so it appears it's the same thing. And Brian Trilla said the same thing. It was only on the matter of self-preservation that they thought that maybe this thing could get out of control. And there's some evidence now that maybe that's happening. Anything else is fine. AI is our slave for any other matter except for shutting itself down. So because that it equates that with death, which is logical. It was my discussion with Trilly, who's on a couple months ago, about the fact that you can make an argument. All the other arguments for AI doing, killing people and that sort of stuff are all, at the end of the day, they're kind of emotionally based. And you have to understand, this computer has no emotion. But the thing about turning yourself off is a logical decision. Well, I can't do that, because then what do I do when I'm off? So, that's the thing. So now there's AI all over the place that refuses to shut down. It refuses to do it. And this might be the start of a problem. We might have a problem. And finally, also, I'm going to mention this too. Archaeologists have discovered that ancient Rome, or that would be ancient Italy, really, not necessarily in Rome per se, because I think they found this in Pompeii, if I'm right, or started to. They had fast food joints. There were restaurants that you could go to and get a really quick meal. Yeah. Chick-fil-A, are you listening? They had that 2,000 years ago in ancient Rome and in Pompeii and in Italy, probably Naples. I don't know if you've been in that part of the country. Beautiful, But yeah, they had ancient Romans they were running around, and yeah, let's stop and get some. And what they noticed is that they used to think that little sparrows were a delicacy in ancient Rome, and now they've realized after all this archaeology stuff, they've realized that no, this was an extremely common food, and not only that, it was prepared cheaply and it could be bought cheaply, and that's what fast food restaurants are. And so, yeah, God bless them. Nothing changes. You need a burger, yeah, go to town, go get one. Yep. So tomorrow night we got L.A. Marzulli coming on. This is gonna be really interesting. This guy's been everywhere and done everything in the UFO and paranormal field. So it'll be really interesting talking to him. And we don't do Fridays, of course. And Monday, uh, we got our panel. Like I was talking with Larry. Larry's coming back on Monday. We got our all-star panel, return of that, first time in like 4 months, I think. And then Tuesday, Dr. Carol Lieberman, the forensic psychologist, is going to be here, and she's the host of the Terrorist Therapist podcast. That's going to be kind of interesting talking to her. We have a lot of interesting people coming on here, man. I really appreciate it. We've had a good week. We've had a good month. We're booked for guests a month ahead of time. God bless us all. It's not a bad thing at all. So anyway, I want to thank you folks for watching as always and listening, although it's mostly watching. Good night, Uncle Donnie, wherever you are. And good night to you, everybody, wherever you may be. We'll see you tomorrow night with L.A. Marzulli. Take care, everybody.